Hey guys, what's up? It is Snake here, and we made it to 5. We're here in the Pentagon, and yeah, so it's exciting. Let's see. What should we do first? Well, why don't we talk about the date? When is it? When is all this happening? And as you can see, JFK right here. That must mean that it's sometime before November 22nd, 1963, because as we all know, that's when he got the magic bullet put through one side of his skull and out the other. So we know it's sometime before then, but I think we can narrow it down just a little bit more, don't you? So if we go downstairs into the war room and we look at the chalkboard on the wall, it's got a list of dates on it, and these dates coincide with SR-71 flight tests. Whether they were looking for something or just testing out the craft or whatever it is, who knows? There was obviously a crash at some point, but the wreckage was recovered. This could have something to do with UFO sightings. Maybe they were testing the SR-71 at Area 51, because that, of course, is in Hangar 18, so that's obviously where they're testing it. But that's not the important stuff. The important stuff is at the end. Let's look at the bottom, and at the very bottom, the last entry, the last date, says November 19th, 1963. So now we have a 3-day window when this could take place, between the 19th and the 22nd of November in 1963. So now we know almost exactly when this has happened, because obviously it couldn't take place on the 22nd because he was driving around, and it probably didn't take place on the 19th itself because they had the information written on the wall. So this is probably on the 20th, or maybe the night of the 20th is most likely, my guess. Not that it really matters the exact date, but I just, for my records, you know what I'm saying? So let's see some other fun, interesting facts, because there's a bunch of pictures all over the walls, everywhere, and some of them are of army men or of ex-presidents and things like that. There's a picture of the Battle of Peleliu, which was from World at War, and there's also a picture downstairs of a lighthouse and a bay, and it's in one of the lab areas, I believe, but that could be a nod towards the Call of the Dead map. There's also pictures of Richtofen in the Pack-a-Punch machine room and the blank face. So that seems kind of strange, except for the fact that when you are looking at the box, the TV monitor above the box, occasionally it will show a flash of the Illuminati symbol. And we know Richtofen worked for the Illuminati, so it may seem that the Illuminati kind of have their fingers in everything. So not only were they dealing with Group 935 and the Nazis, but now they're dealing with the Americans. So the Americans are aware of Richtofen and possibly even helping out in some way the research and different things like that. Some of the other things, there's 5 Reapers on this level, the Blood Reapers, and on the last level there were 6, and on the last level it was Beware of 6, and on this level 5 is the name. So I don't know if there's a connection there or not, but I thought that was kind of interesting. We have some Nova gas, and of course the Nova gas, as well as a bunch of the other things we find around here, is all because at the end of the war, at the end of any war, whoever loses, all their stuff, all their research and weapons gets taken up by the winner. And in this case, the winner is not just the Americans, but the Russians as well. So there was a big grab at everything they could get, picking up scientists and weapons and interesting things like that. Right after the war, trying to make our side better than theirs, and both sides, of course, were doing this, and this is kind of what spawned the Cold War, was all the secrecy and just double crossing and things like that. So one of the things we took was Nova gas, and of course with it the gas zombies, and there's canisters all downstairs, and of course when you go downstairs into the lab during a round, the Nova gas zombies will appear. One of the other neat things around here is there's a magazine downstairs that says Exposed on it, and it talks about the space race, but if you no-clip out of the map and look on the back of it has a picture of the Cosmic Silverback. So that's kind of a hint at the Dead Ops game, and of course we're going to get more into who the Cosmic Silverback is and what it means to our storyline when we get to Dead Ops. There's also a letter in one of the rooms that has, it's from the desk of the president, and it's got 6 signatures on it. So that might be another nod towards Beware of the 6. Maybe the 6 are here in America. Let's see, what else did we get from the war? We also picked up a prototype of the Thunder Gun, a non-working prototype. We were unable to make it work, and that's why it's not available in the map, in the box. And then we also got a teleporter. There's a room downstairs by I think it's the AK-74U. If you look through the door, you'll see not only a symbol for Group 935 hidden on the wall, but also part of the teleporter from Derice. So we took that and we must have fixed it, because the teleporters here in this level work perfectly. They can take zombies and humans alike, and not just us, not just immune humans, but all humans. And so somehow somebody must have fixed it, but who? Well, there's a chalkboard downstairs, and it's got a bunch of scribblings on it, and it says 114, 115, why is wrong? Why does it not work? And so obviously somebody was working on it, trying to figure out what the deal was, and the 114 is a hint at the teleporters, because one of the teleporters, you look at the bottom, the base of it, and it says VR-114. So this guy's obviously working, trying to figure out what the deal is, but he also has written on there, Edward, I know it was you, just like it was written on the wall in Derice, or on the chalkboard in Derice, which that one was written by Harvey Yenna. Although I don't think Harvey Yenna is the one that wrote this one, because he ends up later on in Call of the Dead. But it was obviously a German, obviously somebody that knew Edward, possibly someone that either worked for Group 935 or for both Group 935 and the Illuminati. And the reason why I think the Illuminati is because of the other stuff that's written, or the last thing that's written, which says that never again Sam. So that means whoever the scientist is starting to be driven crazy by Sam, just like Peter was, and just like Maxis was starting to get driven crazy as well. And so this guy, this scientist, this spy from Group 935, from the Illuminati, who we know there was a German spy working here, because they knew about Element 115 at Groom Lake, which is another name, or which is a lake that's on the Area 51 location. So we knew there was a spy here. So this spy is working for us, now being driven crazy as he's trying to figure out how to fix the teleporters, and he ends up, I don't know, dying somehow, or going through the teleporter and becoming a part of the ether, becoming a part of the zombie consciousness, and turns into the Pentagon Thief. And if you look up close on the Pentagon Thief, you see a bunch of other mathematical writings on his jacket that are similar to the ones on the chalkboard, along with Illuminati writing that says "Living Dead" across his chest. And so now we know the Pentagon Thief, he comes after us to take our guns. But why does he try to take our guns? Why doesn't he try to kill us? Well, this guy who's been driven crazy by Sam, he was here working on teleporters, but not just teleporters. He also invented the Winter's Howl. And so when we get it out of the box, he's trying to get it back from us. And obviously, he tries to get it back from us whether or not we have it. And he just takes whatever weapon we have in our hands at the time. But his whole purpose is to try and get his baby back, his gun back. And so Sam just keeps sending him out. And instead of him being like a regular zombie where he wants to kill us, he's solely trying to get his gun back. And he'll keep coming over and over again trying to get it. So that's the Pentagon Thief. Now, the interesting thing, too, to think about is, if you remember during Derice, I talked about this guy named Hans Kammler, and he was an SS officer, and what he did was he actually made a deal with the U.S. and gave us Die Glock, the Bell, and it was, of course, shipped to Area 51, and it was an anti-gravity machine, sort of like a flying saucer, sort of like what people thought they saw at Roswell. Now, the reason why I bring up Roswell is because shortly after Roswell happens, not Oppenheimer, this guy named Vannevar Bush, who was a real person, who worked on the Manhattan Project along with Oppenheimer, and who both of them have files in the terminal in the main menu when you break out of the restraints, and it's all stuff about about Derice and different wonder weapons, which they were obviously researching. But V. Bush suggests to President Truman that he should create Majestic 12. And the Majestic 12, which was made up of 6 civilians and 6 military personnel, again, the number 6, beware of the 6, maybe, maybe not, who knows. But he suggested to him to create Majestic 6. And in the paper, or in the letter that lines out the creation of the Majestic 6, their purpose is to research and investigate UFO sightings. So it's possible that this was just a cover-up, because a lot of people think the Majestic 12 was a cover-up in real life, I mean, with the conspiracy theories. So if they're saying the Majestic 12 is created for UFOs, but there's not really UFOs. I mean, not extraterrestrial ones. There's Die Glocke, though, the anti-gravity machine that we took from the Germans that we're working on. So we don't want people to find out about that. We don't want people to find out the real story. So we'll tell them it's aliens, and we'll make them think that the Majestic 12 is here. But in the end, it's all just a cover-up, and what they're actually doing is researching wonder weapons, creating new ones, and trying to get Die Glocke to work, or at least work correctly, work the way it was intended to. So we got all this stuff going on in the background of 5, or well, of course, behind the scenes of the entire zombie series, at least until we get to Area 51. Now, the other interesting thing too about Vannevar Bush is that he, in real life, created something called memex, which was the precursor to the World Wide Web. He's sometimes noted as the original creator of the World Wide Web, which of course is not to be confused with the Internet. The Internet works on the World Wide Web, but the World Wide Web is a giant system of computers all around the world that are all interconnected, and it's like a sharing of information. And memex was the original theory behind it. Now, the reason why I bring up memex is because there's a machine in here, and on the side of it, it says, and I think it's through one of the windows here down in the bottom of the war room, but there's, and on the side of it, it's called, or the company is called Cyclomax, and they're not a real company, but Cyclomax created this thing called the Mind Saver Memory Index. I don't know, it sounds very, very similar. So maybe the memex or the Mind Saver is a little bit more sinister than what it ends up becoming with the World Wide Web. Maybe they're saving more than just information. Maybe they're saving memories or minds. They're literally transporting someone's brain into a machine, or not like a cyborg or anything, but exactly what, I don't know. You know, that's something we're going to have to wait and find out and do a little bit more research on. But it's very interesting to see the two parallels. And then the last two things I want to talk about are very interesting things. One is on that wall up there, you see the big picture of Europe, and it'll switch between pictures of the entire world and of Europe and Asia, and have different things on it. And one of the first things a lot of people look at is the red dots and think, oh, the red dots must be known zombie outbreaks or things like that. But if you look closer, one of the pictures actually has in white outline a whole bunch of underground caverns, caves, and tunnels that are all interconnected underneath Russia, underneath northern Asia. And if you recall, Therese, which was 7 facilities all interconnected through underground tunnels underneath the Owl Mountains, which are in Poland, is very, very close to northern Asia. In fact, it may very well be that someone took it a step further after Therese and continued to dig these tunnels all underneath Asia, northern Asia, Russia, and the like. And the reason why this is interesting is because if you remember in Kino, I was talking about the group called Vril, or the Vril Society. And one of the things, and I'm going to get more in depth to who those guys are later, but one of the things they believe in is they believe in this this underground society that lived underneath northern Asia, called the Vrilia. And the Vrilia, which are their whole story is outlined in a novel that came out in 1870 or 1872, and it talks about this power called Vril. And it's sort of like an all-purpose power that can be used for great destruction or good, you know, healing and different things like that. And they live underground right now, even supposedly, according to the Vril Society. And these people are eventually going to run out of space down there and come out and overtake or overthrow the world above. So it seems weird that now there is these tunnels and caves right exactly where the novel says they're supposed to be. And we know that the Vril Society is working on Die Glocke and all of, you know, the DG2 and all this other stuff with Group 935, and all of that stuff came over where? Over here to the Pentagon. So it's all interconnected now. We're all with, you know, the picture is starting to get a lot bigger and a lot crazier. I mean, societies living underground that have telekinetic powers that can use it for good or evil. I mean, it's starting to get really weird, you know what I'm saying? And then, of course, the last thing I want to talk about is 5, what I actually think 5 means. Well, you know there's pigs down here, right? Or at least one pig that you can kill. But why is there a pig, and why are there 5 cages for pigs behind him, but only one pig left? Well, if you look around into other rooms, there's also a wall, and on the wall there are 5 holes in the wall with 4 canisters containing human test subjects. So there's one empty space. And there's one other human laying around with his chest cut open in the exact same way those 4 in the wall have their chest cut open. And he's laying on the table right in front of the pig. So the pig and him are somehow connected, and the other 4 pigs are killed and have something to do with the 4 people in the wall. Well, what could it be? Well, a little known fact, or I guess it's not actually a little known fact, but interestingly enough, pigs, anatomically speaking, are very, very similar to humans. In fact, they've even tried to place a pig heart inside of a human. And of course it didn't work, but you know, it's an interesting fact, isn't it? Their liver and their gallbladder look almost exactly like ours, and pigs are just slightly smaller animals than us. So if you were to get a big pig, like the one that's downstairs, you could probably pull a heart or some other piece of something out that could be placed into that person's chest that's laying on the table in front of them. And then once the pig's in there, they close them up, stick them in a canister, and pop them inside the wall, and you now have 5 people. But what makes it even more interesting is because of who that person is. It's Sergeant Roebuck, and if you've played World at War, you know Sergeant Roebuck is he's played by Kiefer Sutherland, the voice actor. But he's a famous war hero, and he worked here at the Pentagon. You can see through one of the windows downstairs his office with his nameplate on it, and it's got a picture of Nixon on his desk and all that fun stuff. So he's some sort of war hero, and after he died, they used him as a test subject, cut open his chest, and they were going to put a pig heart in it, but then of course the zombie outbreak occurred. But they were going to put a pig heart in him, and my guess is the other 4 people that are in the wall are also all war heroes, people that they're trying to bring back to life, but they're using something. They're trying to figure something out that will give them the ability to bring these people back to life without them just being zombies. Because clearly they can make zombies. They don't need, they don't need it to be just anybody, any old zombie. They want to bring back their personality, or at least their memories and their, everything they've been through in order to make a super soldier, if you will. So I thought that was kind of interesting, kind of strange, and definitely ties into the name 5. It's something to do with the power of 5. But that looks like it's going to be it for 5, and we'll be back with the next episode in a little while. Peace out, guys.